Hello, my name is Mark Stasic and I'm with Rummel Benefits Group. I want to thank you for joining me today for an educational event to learn a little bit more about Medicare. Hopefully this information will help you in making an enrollment decision and at least learning a little bit more about the components of Medicare to start that conversation as you think about which plans to choose and where and how to enroll. Medicare consists of a few different components. The first is Medicare Part A. Most people receive Part A for free. You kind of have to put free in air quotes because that's what you or your spouse have paid into throughout all your working years. So for most people, you'll receive Medicare Part A for free. Part A is your hospital insurance, and that is going to cover things that would happen on an inpatient basis. So it could be a surgery, maybe you have a major illness or injury, it requires a hospitalization where you're staying overnight. Could be skilled nursing care or rehabilitative care after an illness or injury. Anything where you go to a facility, you're admitted, you stay overnight, and you're discharged sometime in the future. Typically that's going to be covered under Part A. If you only had original Medicare, then Part A would have a deductible. For 2022, it is $1,556 per benefit period. If you had an extensive stay in the hospital beyond 60 days, then you could have additional responsibilities of a daily rate around $389 per day. So Part A is your hospital insurance. Again, most people receive that coverage for free. Then you would have a $1,556 deductible, possibly some additional expenses beyond that if all you had was Part A. Part B is your medical coverage. Most people will pay a standard premium for Part B, which would be $170.10 per month. There can be an income-related monthly adjustment. If you as a single person are earning over $91,000 per year, you could be subject to an additional charge from Medicare. And for a household, if you are over $182,000, then you could be subject to that IRMA. A note on the IRMA income adjustment, they use a 2-year look back. So if you're enrolling in 2022, they're actually going to look at your 2020 tax return to make a determination of whether you're subject to that IRMA or not. And that is reevaluated on an annual basis as your new tax returns become available. So Part B, what it covers would be outpatient items. Think of that as office visits, lab work, durable medical equipment, things of that nature where you go to a provider, they perform a service for you, and you go home. That's usually going to be covered under Part B. So again, if you only had Parts A and B, for your Part B, you'd have a $233 annual deductible. Once that deductible is met, you'd have an 80-20 coinsurance split. So Medicare is going to pay 80% of the cost of care beyond that deductible. You're going to be responsible for the remaining 20%, A and B. So Medicare A and B were not designed to cover everything. You do have those deductible amounts. You've got your daily rate for hospitalizations. You've got your 20% coinsurance that you're responsible for. It also doesn't cover anything related to vision, dental, or hearing unless it's what's considered medically necessary. Or it doesn't cover anything related to prescriptions. So you're typically going to want to consider adding some additional coverage, and that's where the private insurance companies come in. And you can choose between two main paths. There is what's called Medicare Advantage, often called Part C. Or you can do what's called a Medicare supplement, also known as a Medigap plan, which you would pair with a standalone prescription drug plan, or Part D. So you're going to have A and B. Most people will have A and B no matter what, unless you continue working for a large employer or covered by some other care. So most people will have A and B. So in addition to A and B, you'll want to decide, do I want Medicare Advantage or do I want Medigap with a standalone prescription drug plan? There are pros and cons to those. With this being an educational event, I can't go into detail on product specifics, but I can share with you just kind of some general guidelines of who might be a good fit for which plan. So with Medicare Advantage, generally speaking, these plans are going to be cheaper on a monthly basis. These are the ones that you see all the TV ads and get the phone calls and mailings about. So Medicare Advantage is typically going to be cheaper on a monthly basis. A lot of them are even what they call zero premium plans, meaning that there's no additional monthly cost in addition to that Part B premium and potentially the Part B or D IRMA if your income requires it. But for being cheaper on a monthly basis, there are some trade-offs. So potentially you could have some higher out-of-pocket expenses as you need care. For a lot of people, Medicare Advantage plan would look and feel similar to what you're doing maybe through your previous employer plan, where you're going to have a copay or co-insurance amount depending on the plan as you need care, and you'll have an out-of-pocket maximum for covered services. So it really would look and feel pretty similar to what you may be used to through a employer or individual plan. A Medicare supplement or Medigap plan, generally speaking, is going to be more expensive on a monthly basis, especially when you factor in additional coverages like prescription drugs, or if you did want to add dental, vision, hearing. It's going to be more expensive on a monthly basis, but the main advantage is that it's really going to limit your out-of-pocket expenses as you need care. So the most popular supplemental plan right now is a Plan G. With a Plan G, you would be responsible for the $233 annual Part B deductible. But after that, if it is a Medicare covered medical service, it's going to be picked up by your plan, at no cost. There can be some expenses, some offshoot expenses, I guess, for foreign travel emergency or some other areas that you don't see charged very often. But generally speaking, if it's a Medicare covered service, it will be picked up by your plan at no cost after your deductible is met. Medicare supplemental plans, just on average for a 65-year-old, you may pay an additional, call it $150 per month for a 65-year-old. There are plans that are lower than that. Some are more expensive than that, but just to give you an idea. By the time you pay your Medigap premium, you add a prescription drug plan and you add dental and vision and hearing. If that's something you want to add, you might be at an additional $150 to $175 per month on top of what you would pay to Medicare, which is your $170.10 per month Part B premium. So who is a good fit for Medicare Advantage? And that a lot of times is driven by a desire to keep your monthly costs down. So if you're fortunate and are in pretty good health and don't have a lot for medical needs, then a Medicare Advantage plan could be a great fit for you. With Medicare Advantage plans, there are HMO options and there are PPO options. So you would have a network of providers. You'd want to check with the plan or have an agent assist you in looking up your doctors and providers to make sure that they would accept your plan. In some cases, you may have to deal with referrals. If you're on a PPO, typically you'll have some coverage potentially even outside of the state in which you reside, but it is a little bit more restrictive in terms of doctors and providers that you can see when you compare that to a Medicare supplement. So Medicare Advantage, you're going to have lower fixed costs. A lot of them, again, are even zero premium plans. But as you need care, you may have a copay or co-insurance amounts that you're responsible for out-of-pocket services. Medicare Advantage does typically include prescription drug coverage. You may also have a baseline of dental, vision, and hearing included in that plan. And a lot of times there are optional add-ons for if you need a crown or a root canal or those types of services that are not considered preventive dental care. For a Medicare supplement, a person that may be a good fit for that is if you do have some pre-existing conditions. Maybe you enter Medicare with some medical history or some family history that concerns you. And if you are what we consider a high utilizer of insurance, meaning you have frequent office visits, lots of lab work, maybe you've had a hospitalization or two, or a heart history, cancer history, something in your own history or your family history that concerns you, you may want to consider a supplemental plan. Again, with the supplemental plan, you'll typically pay more on a monthly basis, but it will limit your out-of-pocket expenses as you need care. The supplemental plans typically will not include any form of dental, vision, or hearing unless it's medically necessary, but many carriers will offer add-ons for that will range in cost and coverage, but it is a lot of times an option to add on to your supplemental plan a dental, vision, hearing package. Prescription drug coverage is very dependent upon the medications that you're actually taking. The good news with prescription drug coverage is that you can change plans on an annual basis during your open enrollment window, which is October 15th through December 7th each year, and analyze your medications and what may have changed over the previous year. The same is true for Medicare Advantage as far as your ability to switch plans. Medical underwriting is never required for a Medicare Advantage plan. So during that enrollment window, October 15th through December 7th, you can reevaluate your plan, see if you need to make any changes or adjustments. Plans are typically designed where they will carry over automatically with no action required. So if you had a good experience, your doctors are covered, your medications are well covered, and you didn't have any reason to make a change, typically that plan will carry over with no action required from you. If you did want to make a change, maybe you have a new doctor who's out of network, or you need some additional coverage that you didn't have previously, you wanted to add something different, whether it's prescription drug coverage or dental, vision, hearing, something else, you can make a change on an annual basis during that annual enrollment or annual election period, October 15th through December 7th. With a Medicare supplement, it is a little bit more restrictive. They say the best time to enroll in a supplemental plan is when you first become eligible, or basically when you're first turning 65, or maybe you're leaving employer coverage after age 65 and adding Part B. In those cases, you have what are called guaranteed issue rights, meaning that there is no medical underwriting required for you to enroll in a supplemental plan. If you start on Medicare Advantage and then maybe you develop some conditions and you say, well, I'd really like to have a Medicare supplement, if you try to switch plans, it is doable, but most carriers will put you through medical underwriting. It will ask you a series of questions related to your height and weight, your tobacco use, your medical history, the medications that you're taking, and many carriers can decline you if your health is poor enough, or other carriers are maybe what is called guaranteed acceptance, which means they will allow you to join a plan, but they can charge you an additional rate off of that standard baseline premium. So Medicare supplemental plans are easiest and probably the best time to get enrolled in them is when you are first turning 65 in most cases. Can be joined later, but again, it's going to be more difficult and require medical underwriting. Just a couple other differences between Medicare Advantage and a Medicare supplement. So again, with Medicare Advantage, generally speaking, you're going to have a network of providers, whether you're on that HMO or HMO POS plan or a PPO. You'll have a network of providers that you'll want to check to try to reduce your costs when seeing in-network providers as opposed to out-of-network or not covered providers. So HMO is the most restrictive, PPO gives you additional flexibility, Medicare supplement is accepted nationwide by any doctor or provider who accepts original Medicare. So Medigap's the most flexible, Medicare Advantage a little bit less so, but in most cases, if you're doing your doctoring locally, you're probably in pretty good shape as long as you check those local doctors. If you're a snowbird or you have some pre-existing conditions, again, you might want to think about a Medicare supplement. Medicare Advantage, again, typically will include a baseline of coverage for dental, vision, hearing, and be inclusive of prescription drug coverage. So your administration of the plan is a little bit less cumbersome. It is all under one card. It's one invoice, one plan. Everything is done through that Medicare Advantage plan. So when you sign up for Medicare Advantage, the insurance company is basically agreeing to take over administration of your care from the government, and everything's all in one spot. With a Medicare supplement, if you choose to go that route, you will have, in most cases, an additional premium when compared to Medicare Advantage. You may also have your Medicare supplement with one company and your prescription drug coverage with another. So you can have your original Medicare card, you'll have your Medicare supplement card, and then another card for prescription drug coverage. So it's a little bit more cumbersome. There is an extra invoice or an extra ID card in there to manage. But again, if you're in that category of snowbirds or pre-existing conditions, you may want to consider that Medicare supplement to limit some of those out-of-network costs, give you some additional flexibility to see any doctor or provider nationwide who accepts original Medicare, or try to limit your out-of-pocket expenses if you do anticipate high utilization of the insurance. So hopefully that's a helpful overview for you as you start considering your Medicare options. I will include some links and some additional information. There are a number of great resources available, starting with Medicare.gov, to learn more about Medicare, see what looks like the best fit for you, and help you get enrolled. If I can be of service, please contact me at Rummel Benefits Group, 989-652-6104.